to your doctor over the video. It can be a number of different things. Telemedicine is specifically considered like when a prescriber is seeing you over the video camera. And then mHealth is just a short term for mobile health. And that too just means any sort of health exchange, health information that's relayed over a mobile device. So really all those words are quite similar. So if you hear them, I kind of think of them as one thing. I was going to have a conversation, but I'm going to keep going, and please use the chat to tell me what's your experience with telehealth. I was going to ask kind of do you think it's great? Do you think it's lousy? Or are you somewhere in the middle? We do a little thumb screen. But I hope at the end I give you hope about telehealth, and you'll be a bigger fan, and especially for your clients that are a little more isolated right now, to see all of the ways it could be used positively. All right, so I'm gonna skip over that. I keep talking about the toothpaste out of the tube. When it comes to reimbursement for providing telehealth services, CMS and others were a little bit slow at first, but they were trying to say only in these specific situations. But I think we're going to quickly demonstrate that telehealth offers a way to enhance health that's a complementary to being in your doctor's office. I mean, we always need to be able to touch and to be able to be face-to-face. I don't believe it should ever replace that, but what a great additional support to know what's going on and to stay engaged in our clients' lives. So I want to explain that a bit. One type of telehealth is telephone telehealth. And that is literally, you call somebody and you find out what's going on and help them make healthcare decisions over the telephone. It works for certain things, but I think it's going to be very rapidly replaced for any sort of real healthcare with more of a video type of exchange. And part of that is, I know we had a sort of a generation or two of people that weren't really interested in being tech savvy until that was the only way to communicate with the world. And I have done telehealth visits with people well into their 90s and beyond. So I think the acceptance rate is going way up. And if I don't mention this later, if you provide services, companion services, in-home care services, consider adding this service to what you're doing, where you help and enable your clients to fully use telehealth. So if I don't mention that later, make sure I come back to it. So you want a telehealth exchange to be HIPAA secure. I got to tell you, I'm worried. Some people are using just regular old Zoom and Skype and FaceTime, and that is not HIPAA secure. So there might be a grace period right now where we're kind of getting away with this and no one's monitoring it closely. But there are a number of HIPAA secure devices, and that just means if you're talking about someone's personal health information, that you're doing it in a way that can't be hacked and that will maintain their privacy. Cost, depending on what someone's doing, insurance might pay for all of it, but there are some additional interesting features that are coming out that might be additional cost. We want it to be easy to use. We want the patient or the client to be able to use it easily, and we want the provider on the other end to find it easy as well. Those are some of the tidbits that have been worked through over the last few months, because I know it started out very, very clunky, even at our really big institutions, and it seems to be getting better. Reliability, just like some have experienced today, you want to be able to get on there and not have it cut out on you or be slow or have issues. So all of the platforms that provide telehealth have been working incredibly hard on the reliability side. And then ideally, this is a way to have all of somebody's health information in one place where anybody involved in their care would have the chance to see what they need to see and make decisions and communicate what's going on. And so get rid of our very fragmented healthcare system we have right now and open doors to pull things together. making sure it's HIPAA secure, and the providers see only what they need to see. So that makes it sound easy. It's very complicated, but we're making huge strides to get there. Other ones is being on the computer allows for group videos and coordinating with other people. So you can have a telehealth visit that involves your client, a daughter that's out in Washington State, a dietitian that is 3 hours away, the doctor that's across town, and whoever else, all on the screen at the same time having a conversation. So people that are even distance removed from the patient can be part of the decision making, part of the conversation. They don't have to hear things third person. They can be fully engaged in what's going on. And so I've seen some great demonstrations of this revolutionizing coordinated care.
Michelle, we had a quick question in the chat
Uh-huh.
about how can we confirm that something is HIPAA secure? Is there a way to do that?
If you go to the platform that you're planning to use, they'll either, you can find it in writing, or you can ask them. Kind of an aside, I wanted somebody wanted to be able to use HIPAA secure Zoom. At this point, it's extremely expensive. So there are way less expensive options for HIPAA secure communication platforms. That's because there's such a demand for that. I think prices will come down quickly, but right now some of them have blown up their prices in crazy ways. And last I looked, Zoom was one of them.
Okay, thank you. And Susan just shared a couple of platforms in the chat. So,
oh, excellent.
So just keep an eye on the chat.
Okay, yeah, do, because I can't see it. I don't know what I did wrong, but I can't see it right now.
That's okay. I'll jump in if people have specific questions.
Awesome. So telehealth can be everything, somebody's whole record, or there are so many apps coming out. And I'm a pharmacist, so I'm looking at things like organizing all of the medicines, having reminders to take the medicines, having a way for somebody to acknowledge that they took the medicine so that that can be tracked over time. So those are just very specific ways that this in mobile health, different sorts of technologies are coming out. I think, again, this is an area that's just exploding with possibilities. And this is cool. If you've not seen this, there are Bluetooth devices that can measure weight, blood pressure, blood sugar, stethoscopes, dermatoscopes, those things that the dermatologist puts on your skin to check different lesions. A number of devices, EKG machines, it's growing. And so home care agencies could have these and do full evaluations, the doctor guided full evaluations while in somebody's home. Pharmacies are thinking about renting these out for people to have full evaluations in their home. Some places are like at a central location, maybe like a Bright View would have these in their health room. And so telehealth visits could occur, but full evaluations could be done with this technology. And I've got a really fancy top of the line cardiology stethoscope, and I can actually hear about as good with the Bluetooth stethoscope as I can with my really fancy one. So not only is the technology available, but it's quite good. I know somebody with a dermatology practice that they do everything remotely, and they use that remote dermatoscope, and they find that they can correctly diagnose skin lesions without having to be there. All sorts of in-home safety monitoring. I'm sure you've seen a lot of that. It can be everything from cameras to heat sensors to sensors that somebody's entered a particular door frame, or whether they've gotten out of bed. So in-home safety monitoring of every kind. I laugh because I was working with a group who was testing this, and one of the men, his father, agreed to be a test client. And he got a kick out of flashing us every time he walked past the camera, just to see if anyone was paying attention. So some people don't want full-on cameras in their house. So lots of interesting features coming out. Storage of information. Again, some places are really getting excited about using these to keep somebody's information in one place and accurate, so that if, so say somebody's traveling, snowbirds, they go to Florida for the winter, they've got all their information there should they need to see a doctor while they're there. It's a great way for practitioners to exchange information. Most of the platforms I've seen, you can have private conversations that maybe the patient and the family can't see, but when it comes to that person's chart, everything is in one place. And we're going to talk about GrandPad in just a second, but I've seen similar things where somebody can be in their home and they need a certain level of care and they can quickly request it and get a rapid response. So I hope I'm not going too fast. Stop me if I'm not making sense, but I just think telehealth is so much more than a conversation between two people on the computer. Now that the door is open or the toothpaste is out of the tube, the things we can do with telehealth is quite enormous. They can help with scheduling, with all sorts of reminders, again, whether it's taking medications or any other activity you want someone to do. Billing can be coordinated through these platforms. They can be audio only, they can be video, secure messaging, secure email, secure fax. So like if you're always tracking down a fax machine to send something to the doctor, it can all be enveloped in the telehealth platform. So it just opens, again, a lot of doors. I think at first anyway, insurance will cover parts and maybe not other parts, but as it's demonstrated that this really enhances overall care and outcomes, then probably insurance will pay for more. And then when you think of chronic care management, we've got an issue, and it's not just our country. The world has an issue right now that people have missed so many of their chronic care appointments with their doctors. And we don't have enough primary care providers anyway right now. And then to think how far behind everything is, seems a bit daunting. And so telehealth really opens some doors to get caught up with chronic care management. It's a way for people with the Bluetooth devices to be telling their doctor and their healthcare team, monitoring daily, how's their blood sugar, how's their blood pressure, that these can be set up in a way that flags go up and people are called in to help. If somebody suddenly gains a bunch of weight and they have heart failure, or their blood sugar suddenly goes up. So the telehealth is going to allow us to sort of triage who needs what level of care and when in this catch-up process. And so kind of back to what we talked about, it can be everything from the Bluetooth devices, pain scales. You can send somebody just a short questionnaire each day to make sure that they're up and at 'em and how are they feeling that particular day. It gives an opportunity to collect data if things are changing and kind of watch that over time. So how do you help somebody prepare for a telehealth visit? Because I've talked to many people that feel like it's a little bit intimidating right now, and it's all they can do just to get there and log in and be ready. But there's so much more that could be done to prepare, and I think in doing that, people will be more confident. So one is have a prioritized list of issues you want to talk about and share that. I'm finding that a lot of times, for a doctor visit in particular, you speak to someone else before you speak to the doctor. So just like back in the day when we went to the doctor's office, you share your list of issues with that first person. They can then share it with the doctor, who is then prepared for what you want to talk about during your visit. Work on lighting ahead of time, because lighting's difficult, especially if people are doing this from their home and they've not practiced before. They can turn on their video and figure out how to make sure the doctor can see them and any parts of them that are going to need to be evaluated. Have a complete list of things that the doctor's probably going to ask about. Dates when things started and stopped and what's made them better and what's made them worse. A complete list of medicines. Even have the bottles, because I have found that if I can get somebody to hold it in the right place, I can even read the little tiny print on the bottles and see what I need to see, or somebody can open up the medicine, and I'm not going to do a very good job of this, but show it to me which helps me identify what it is. And so from the pharmacy standpoint, I've been surprised how much I can do with telehealth that's similar to what I did when we were face to face and I could pick up the bottle and look at it. Room to demonstrate. So somebody might have a situation where the doctor wants to see how they stand up, or the doctor wants to see how swollen is their ankle. So they need to think ahead of time. And this is again where home agencies can really help make sure that if somebody's ankle is swollen, that they kind of know how to maneuver so that the doctor can see their ankle, which I'm doing a really bad job of right now. But the doctor's going to want to see what the doctor would have seen in person. So if they think ahead of time what they want to show the doctor and how they're going to maneuver the camera or have someone there to help, it really makes that visit more efficient. Okay, and this is, you're going to think it's silly, but it really helps. If somebody has a spot that's bothering them, if they can go ahead and circle it ahead of time so that the doctor can hone in on exactly what you want to talk about, it can be very helpful, especially when the lighting is not great. It really puts the focus on the particular spot. So rather than just showing up for telehealth visits, if you can help your clients think ahead of time about what the doctor might ask about, what they might want to have handy beside them to be able to grab, and have thought about their priorities and be ready to show the doctor whatever they're going to need to see, it just makes that visit so much cleaner. I want to quickly mention the other thing that we, society, healthcare is way behind on is vaccines. A lot of children are out of sync with their vaccines now because doctors' offices were relatively closed, but that is true of our older adults as well. We're up to flu shots, pneumonia shots, shingles vaccines. So working with your clients to make sure that they're being thoughtful about that and taking advantage of opportunities to stay up to date on vaccines, and then COVID vaccine when it becomes available. So I'm going to shut up and let Jackie talk to you a little bit more about GrandPad, because it's one example of some really cool technology that incorporates a lot of these things and makes use of technology easier for people.
So can you all hear me? Can you hear? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michelle. This is quite new for our agency, the Option Group, to have this, but it's been very exciting so far. I did get a chance to get my hands on it, and it is very much tablet size. The focus is being able to use this, especially if you're technologically challenged or site limited, that it really takes all of the technology off the table for the senior as far as like being able to navigate it. As you can kind of see in the picture, very large icons. There's even a function on this device that you can set it up internally to answer automatically. For instance, if someone is across the room and they can't get to answer it right away, that it'll answer right away. It serves as it can be a video chat, it can be a regular phone chat. It takes all of the scamming and all of those calls, that a senior would not want to answer, that it takes all of that off the table, because it's considered like a very trusted circle of people that are allowed to participate with that. And that's all done internally. I'd love to answer any questions. It is very, very exciting, especially for our assisted living and nursing home folks that, we're only doing like window visits and things like that. It has really, really made quite a difference for communication and being able to stay connected. So once again, please let us know if you have any questions, because we would love to answer them. And it's definitely a very exciting time. Thanks.
anybody's mind blown? Did you kind of know this stuff was out there, or does this make you more hopeful about telehealth? Or you're like, yeah, I still don't like it?
Jackie, we did have a question on whether the GrandPad operates on Wi-Fi or cell data.
It is, you don't need Wi-Fi. It's definitely on a cell platform. Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's Verizon, but they definitely can switch it to any, any platform. They're able to do that.
So it is compatible with Wi-Fi if that's the better option, because some people might live remotely and not have cell capability or a good cell signal.
I would have to check for you because I don't think we're not using Wi-Fi. You don't need Wi-Fi to have it. So,
okay.
Yeah, so we can definitely check the detail, but yeah.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So does anyone have any other questions related to the information that Michelle shared with us? I mean, I think it is something that we're seeing. Telehealth won't go away. It will become hopefully a better complement to the way that we're operating with healthcare. But are there any questions? If you have them at this point, we can go ahead. You can unmute yourself and ask directly.
I had a question about the cost of GrandPad.
Michelle, do you want to take that, or you want me to take it?
I saw it at the bottom. I would just be saying what I read. 325 setup and 100 a month, or $1,300 a year all in, right? Something like that.
Yes. Yeah, I was going to say, so I think the bottom line, and I'm just going to add to what Michelle said. I think the important piece here is that I know when you hear $100 a month, but I think it's important to realize that you're taking, potentially a computer that's not being used very often. So you're kind of taking that out, so paying for that. You're also taking out like a landline that you may be paying for that, may or may not get used. And you're also taking a cell phone. So it kind of would serve the purpose of all of those because yeah, it actually would. The capability of it would serve the purpose for all of those. So when you look at it in that light, it actually is like a perfect fit for a senior, who is potentially isolated and you want to maintain contact. I mean, to make it really, boil it down and make it really simple.
From a financial standpoint, I just wanted to add in there that thinking about, like you said, the cell phone, the computer, and the cable, or not cable, what's the other one you said? That when you take those out, then yes, it's much more economical. But a thing that maybe doesn't pop into people's minds is that I have a number of clients that used to use their computers, and as they are losing the cognitive ability to successfully do that, we're getting a lot more of the financial fraud, or they're signing up for all these supposed free things. So there's, by getting them off of a full PC that can allow them to go to crazy places and put their credit card in, that's also a saver there to keep them away from that, by getting them onto some type of platform where they can talk to other people, but they kind of have a little bit of a safety bubble around them. So I think it's a great idea.
Mm-hmm. The home company actually has the capability to, in a basic phone call or a procedure, is to tweak, who is that trusted circle of people, and it really does. It takes all the scamming and all of that. I actually have one client with the option group right now that she probably gets, and she gets so many calls per day that are like scams, and it's very frustrating for her because she doesn't want to answer the phone, obviously. And when I try to call, I have to have a calling. I tell her I'm going to call and let the phone ring 3 times, and then I'm going to hang up, and then I'm going to let it ring 3 times again and hang up, so she knows it's me. And it's a very frustrating thing. So to have a device like that, like the GrandPad, would just be like a beautiful thing.
So Jackie, we did have one other
Um,
question. We had one other
Oh.
question just on, is it user-friendly for visually impaired?
I'm gonna say yes, absolutely. The icons are large. I don't know if you all were able to see when Michelle had the information put up there about the GrandPad, but the icons are very large. So obviously, if it's site limited, I think it would still be helpful. Obviously, if they're blind and cannot see at all. But their hearing is probably a little bit more sharp. They may be able to navigate, but that would be something I would have to, we would have to look into. But I think if you're site limited, I think it would be good. You'd be able to use it.
From an assisted living component, my programming and activities group has been doing virtual visitations with their iPads. However, what it does is it limits the families to when they can do that. So this GrandPad, I know I have one person with it. And the other component that might be nice with that is to get them ahead of a headphone or a set of earplugs or something to be able to hear better, because that's half the problem. And then you keep touching the screen and turning it off, with a little cell phone and all that kind of thing. So my one lady who uses hers absolutely loves it. She's in contact with her family all the time, and others are struggling because we have to make appointments, and it's based on our availability and not their own and their family's availability, which is really a big downside to what we're doing.
I'm going to let Julie tomorrow go because she's been trying to ask a question.
I want to make a comment about how we use technology for my dad. He has mobility issues, but we put a Lexus device in his room. It's just a small little device, and we can drop in. So from my phone, I set it up, and all my sisters could do that because he couldn't, pick up a phone. He couldn't do like what you ladies are talking about, and it runs on the internet. So that is a possible option for people. You can't see them, but you can hear them, and we could talk to him. So it was really beneficial for us. The other thing I just wanted to ask Michelle was about the vaccines. We're struggling trying to get my dad a flu shot right now. And of course, if he's still around for the COVID, depending on where he is health-wise. And so we don't want to take him out. I mean, he is so vulnerable, and trying to get that set up so we can do it in the home is a challenge. So I don't know if there's people out there that, would do that. I mean, we have to get it from his doctor. They have to preload it. He's with Kaiser, so there's always an extra hurdle to jump. And then he has Gilchrist, so Gilchrist will administer the shot. But really, what are you guys doing for those who are in assisted livings? I mean, are people coming in to give the vaccines?
Actually, we are scheduled to do a flu clinic. That's considered an essential personnel.
Okay.
And it goes directly to their health. So as far as that's concerned, we're doing ours on the 30th. So we've coordinated with the pharmacy around us, and they're going to be bringing in all of those flu shots and doing them on that day.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so I could maybe reach out to a pharmacy if I can't get it from his doctor.
Reach out to a
Yeah, look at the Klein's pharmacy. Klein's is great. They have them, and that's who we're working with right now in order to get this completed.
Okay, excellent. Thank
and
you.
Also, I would like to add that here at Aberdeen Court, we also do flu clinics as well. And we have Walgreens coming and Upper Chesapeake Health Link.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So at Lorien Bel Air, we do the same thing as Colleen, but because of our skilled nursing subacute rehab on our 3rd floor, we're able to administer those vaccinations when they come to us as well.
Good. I put this in the chat, but I want to describe this. One of the cool things I saw in a beta test is similar to the GrandPad, where you've got the big icons, but one can be for music and one can be for TV shows. And you know how with dementia, people are kind of living in different eras? You can program the available TV shows and music to be their preferences in that era, which I think is awesome.
I think you're right. I mean, just the ability to utilize this technology to adapt to the needs of these clients and patients is sort of phenomenal. Are there any other technologies that anyone else has sort of come in contact with? Or I see Julie raising her hand, so I'm going to let you share.
The other thing that we use are cameras. And assisted livings that we asked when my dad was at the Maples, we asked, and we put one in his room, but it also told us the temperature in his room. So when there was a problem with his being too hot or too cold, which he couldn't function, he didn't always verbally would tell them, but we could see that and we would get an alert and it would tell us, hey, the room's too cold or it's too hot. But we also had a sense of what was happening with him when he was at the facility. Now we have him back home in a residential home, so it's a little bit different now. But when he was in the facility, we used technology a lot. Before the cameras went in, I had something called temperature stick. And so that temperature stick would give us alerts as well when the temperature in his individual room got too high. Because then it would really affect him cognitively and everything. I mean, get so hot, and skin issues and all kinds of stuff. So it really helped us with him. So it was the Echo Dot. I couldn't remember it a minute ago, but we used the Echo Dot to connect with him. We also used, and we still do, I have it set up in his house. It's a plug that goes to the Echo Dot that we programmed to turn on and off the light. And we could set actual like routines for it, but he can actually say Echo light on and it would turn the light on. So it gave him some independence because his hands are so, his arms are so restricted with arthritis and so forth. And now he can barely move at all, but it does still allow him verbally to turn that light on and off and have some independence.
Fantastic.
That is.
Hey,
Nicole, I had one other thing. I was going to just add a couple of items as far as the GrandPad is concerned. And I guess another important piece is when this device is not being used as a communication device for, the loved one in the assisted living or the nursing home, or even grandparents that are trying to, stay isolated. That it actually can act as a digital photo frame. There's an icon on there, and since basically everyone has a cell phone and you're in that trusted circle of people, you can send your pictures to your loved one, and those pictures can continue to kind of, once again, be like a digital photo frame. So even when it's not being actively used, it's like inactively still providing a service like all the time. There's also like a weather icon, at the touch of a button, they can find out in their area, what the weather is, because a lot of folks want to know, what's going on out there. So once again, just even when it's not being actively used, that inactively it's actually providing a really nice service. And a lot of folks like to see pictures of the animals come through or their grandchildren come through, and they can kind of be rotated through, or they can actually like keep it on that. So I'm sorry, I just wanted to add that.
That's cool.
No, thank you. That's great. I mean, I think what we will do is definitely share this session, the presentation portion of the session is being recorded. We'll share the link to that, as well as the some notes from the chat that people have shared. And Michelle has said that she will be happy to provide the slide deck. So we'll send this all out as follow-up to the meeting, and also find a place for it to reside on the website, because I think this is really valuable information for people. And again, as we continue on with the distancing that we have to do right now, this technology becomes more and more important, and it is going to continue to be important down the road. Michelle, any last thoughts on technology or telehealth?
No, I do
that you
think
wanted
it's
to go
here
back
to
to?
stay. And one of the ways I use it that we didn't talk about is I like to stop medications, but that can't be done quickly or all at once. And so it's a great way to monitor people gradually as dose of a medicine is gradually coming down. So it's been extremely effective for that. And as you all now know, pre-COVID, patients used to tell me that they loved it because they only had to get dressed from the waist up, because I wouldn't know the difference.
That is very true. And I think all of us have been there. Anything else anyone would like to share? Because I think we're coming up to about 15 minutes left that we have for networking or sort of sharing. I'll take a moment just to talk about what we're looking at for future meetings. As I mentioned earlier, we will be doing Tall Small Productions for October. They are going to be coming in. We'll do networking and business up to about 9 o'clock on that meeting, and they'll start at 9 o'clock, and the presentation runs about an hour. But they'll, again, as all of you see, this is a shower curtain in my background because we have 5 people working from here and going to school. There are ways, we are now 6 months in, and I probably should stop with the shower curtain. And as soon as I have one that moves out, I will have an office and know how to set up my office. But there are things that lighting is a huge issue. We've all seen that having poor lighting, both for the telehealth and for, just what we're doing in communication, that can have an impact on how people can see us. So I just think there are a lot of things that we could learn that will help us down the road. We have 2 topics for November and December. One is going to be an update on Alzheimer's and dementia, what we've learned during our recent Alzheimer's International Conference, and sort of where we are with diagnosis, treatment, and ultimately a way to stop this dreaded disease. And that will be being presented by one of my coworkers. In addition, we will have a mental health topic, and we're just waiting for confirmation on dates. So between November, December, we'll be covering these 2 topics. But mental health, we all know that the social isolation has caused an uptick in mental health issues, and we really all need to be a little more focused on our own personal mental health and the mental health of those that we're working with. So we will be sharing some information about that and have a speaker who will be talking about that. If you have a topic that you feel compelled to have addressed now, that there's some burning issues that you'd like to see addressed, please reach out to me. It's ngorski@alz.org, and I'll type it in the chat. But we are happy to talk about things that are relevant to people. And if it's something that you are seeing as an issue or something that you have concerns or need more information about, there's probably somebody else who is interested in hearing about that topic as well. Does anyone have any last parting thoughts, comments, questions?
I have something I'd just like to share that I found out this week. I don't know how many of you know about Highview Memorial Gardens out in Falston, the cemetery out there. They have added a mortuary to their business, and now they are actually able to do funerals there. Rebecca Orr is the new funeral director over there. And the only reason I know this is that I had 2 deaths the other day, and one of them was going there, and they're doing a $99 cremation funeral. So if anybody has anyone who is really struggling with finances and funerals, you know how expensive all that is. So just wanted to make sure you all knew that that option was out there for anyone else.
Thank you. Anyone else? Final thoughts or comments? Yes, Stephanie, we miss you too. She chatted that in. And I know, I hope that people will, those who feel comfortable will look to join us on September 23rd at Keys Creamery. Just, it would be a nice opportunity for us to maintain some social distance, but have a chance to be sort of face to face. We will send out some information as a reminder on that. We will also be sending out to members the reminders on the member spotlights and getting our schedule going on that. Also, member renewals for those who are up for renewal will be coming out within the next 2 to 3 weeks. If you have any questions about your membership status or just sort of where you are with membership at the moment, feel free to reach out. And if no one has any other questions, thoughts, or issues, then I will say thank you to everyone for joining us. We will see everyone in October virtually and reevaluate from there. And again, thank you to Michelle and thank you to Jackie for sharing the information. And you can reach out to either of them if you want any details or specific information. Look for a email that will have the presentation and all the other information. All right. Thank you all.
Bye all.